All right. So we've had a lot of requests to take a deep dive into this memo from Andy Jassy,
Oh, yeah.
Amazon's CEO.
Uh,
Everyone's talking about it, and for good reason.
yeah.
It's got this kind of, it's not just like a dry corporate announcement, right?
Right.
It feels like Jassy's kind of grappling with some really big questions about where Amazon goes from here. Like, what does Amazon even mean now?
Yeah, it's like he's trying to capture the company's soul or something
Yeah, exactly.
at this point in time, you know?
And it's not like we're talking about a tiny company here.
Right.
This is Amazon. We're talking, I mean, they're everywhere, right? Shopping, entertainment, the cloud. I mean,
They're huge.
huge.
Like, unavoidable.
Yeah, exactly. So anytime a company this massive tries to make a culture change,
It's a really big deal.
it's a big deal. It makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And memos like this, especially from someone like Jassy, they always have multiple audiences. You know what I mean?
For sure.
He's obviously speaking to his employees, but he's also sending a very carefully crafted message to investors, to the media, to competitors even.
It's a PR move almost.
In a way,
Yeah.
it's this delicate balance he's trying to strike, acknowledging past successes, but also clearly signaling that things need to change.
And the change seems to be going back to Amazon's roots. Like, Jassy keeps using this phrase.
Oh, yeah.
He wants Amazon to be the world's largest startup.
Right.
And he uses all these words like scrappiness, frugality, high ownership,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny when you think about how massive and, let's face it, bureaucratic Amazon has actually become.
Right.
Can a company with over 1 million employees really just decide to be a startup again?
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It's the challenge for every big company, though, as they grow.
Huh?
You need processes and structures to manage it all, but then those things can end up killing the very qualities that made them successful in the first place.
It's like this weird paradox.
Totally.
Yeah.
The tension between becoming efficient and staying innovative is classic.
So how does Jassy plan to do this? Because in the memo, he actually says that there are too many managers at Amazon now, and that all the layers of management are actually slowing things down.
Yeah, the dreaded pre-meeting for the pre-meeting.
Oh, don't even get me started.
We've all been there.
So frustrating.
It's a classic sign of what we call managerial bloat, which happens a lot with companies that grow really fast.
Okay.
You add more and more managers without really thinking about the overall structure.
Interesting.
And then you end up with all these bottlenecks where nothing can get done without tons of approvals and people get frustrated. It can really stifle creativity.
Wow. And to fix this, Jassy's actually proposing cutting managers by 15% by the first quarter of 2025.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
That's a bold move for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, streamlining management could make things faster and more agile. But on the other hand, what about the people who are left?
Right.
Their workload just got a whole lot bigger, and that can really hurt morale. So it's tricky.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Definitely.
And this push for a more nimble, startup-like approach that's also behind another big thing. Jassy announced the return to office mandate.
Oh, right, yeah.
Starting January 2nd, 2025, most Amazon employees will have to be back in the office.
Yeah, and, a lot of other big tech companies have gone totally the opposite direction. Like, they've embraced remote work or at least hybrid models.
Right.
So it seems like Amazon's kind of going against the grain here.
Yeah, it seems like it, right?
Because a lot of companies see remote work as like a perk, to attract and keep good employees, especially with how competitive the job market is these days.
Totally. It does seem kind of counterintuitive, but Jassy's argument is that being in the office is just crucial for maintaining Amazon's culture.
Right.
And for collaboration.
Yeah. He's really emphasizing those benefits of in-person work, like being able to brainstorm on the fly,
Yeah.
learning from your colleagues just by being around them,
Right.
and, building those relationships that are so important.
Right, like those water cooler moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't always recreate that remotely. And for a company like Amazon, that really depends on people coming up with new ideas together.
Yeah.
That face-to-face interaction could be really important.
But on the other hand, what about all the employees who actually like working remotely?
Right.
Like they've gotten used to it.
Oh.
They're thriving.
Totally.
And what about hiring? Won't it limit their talent pool if everyone has to be in the office?
Absolutely. Those are all valid
But
concerns.
lost office space,
Huge.
which is not insignificant.
Not at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really complex situation with no easy answers.
No, it really feels like this whole memo with the startup thing and the management changes and now this back to the office mandate.
Yeah.
So like Jassy's trying to do a complete 180 on Amazon's culture.
It's a total reset.
Yeah, like, okay, we got a little too big, a little too comfortable.
Yep.
Time to get back to our roots, be scrappy and hungry again.
Exactly. He's drawing a very clear line between all these different things. They're all about getting that sense of urgency back, that ownership,
Yeah.
that startup mentality that he keeps talking about.
Yeah.
It's about fighting against that slowness that happens in big companies and getting that spark of innovation back.
But is that even possible?
Right.
Can you really force a whole culture to change from the top down, especially something like this, where and how people work best? It's so personal.
That is the question, isn't it? And it's not just Amazon. It's something that all kinds of companies are struggling with.
Right.
Not even just tech companies, all industries.
It's true.
The pandemic changed everything about the workplace,
Yeah,
and there's no going back. So, yeah, the future of work, it's still being written.
totally. Yeah, it's a tough one, right? On the one hand, you have this huge company trying to get back to being nimble, like a startup.
Right.
But then you have all these employees who've gotten used to working remotely, and maybe they see this as a step backwards.
Yeah. And to be fair to Jassy, he does seem to know that some people won't be happy.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the memo, he even mentions that they're making a bureaucracy mailbox.
What?
Yeah, it's like this place where employees can report any processes they think are unnecessary.
Oh, interesting.
So it does seem like he knows that Amazon might have gotten a little too bogged down in bureaucracy.
Right, like he's trying to get ahead of the complaints.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we hear you. We're trying to make things better for everyone here.
Right.
We'll have to see if it works.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about the culture.
Yeah, that's true.
You can have the best plan in the world, but if the company culture doesn't support it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's like they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Exactly.
So what do you think? Is this the start of a real change at Amazon, or is it just another example of big tech trying to figure itself out?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Only time will tell.
For sure.
But I will say this. Jassy's not afraid to make big changes.
That's true.
Whether these specific things work or not, it shows that Amazon isn't going to just sit back and relax.
Yeah, they still want to be at the top of the game.
Exactly. They're still trying to grow and change, which is pretty amazing for a company that's already so big.
It really is. It makes you wonder if it's even possible for a company as huge as Amazon to be as quick and innovative as they were when they were just starting out.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will these changes lead to a whole new era of growth, or will they just cause a lot of internal problems? Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Andy Jassy's memo and what it might mean for Amazon.
It's a fascinating situation.
It really is. Thanks for breaking it all down with me.
Of course, my pleasure.
So what do you think? Can Amazon really pull this off? Will we all be back in offices soon? Let us know your thoughts. And until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.